What's up guys, my name is Andre and welcome to HangoutChat episode number 4. Today I want to show you something that I purchased and it's probably and certainly the craziest thing I have ever purchased. So in Brazil we have a scooter called the Honda Biz. I'm sure that it's present in other countries as well. And it uses either a 100cc 4-stroke or a 125cc 4-stroke engine. And it has a semi-automatic transmission. So that means that it doesn't have a clutch, but you still have to shift gears yourself. And so what you're looking at is the frame of a Brazilian moped adapted to hold a Honda 100cc engine. And it is for certain, absolutely, the craziest thing I have ever purchased in my life. I'm going to show you around, and I am probably going to take a while to turn it on again because I just rode a lot with it today, this morning. So the neighbors are more than certainly a bit pissed off with me right now. So I'll just wait till a little bit later till I can ride it again. And I had a few issues with it. Mainly, someone ripped part of the thread out of the cylinder head, so the spark plug. If I didn't put something in the thread of the spark plug, as soon as I would try to start the engine, it would just eject the spark plug. I don't know if anyone out there has ever seen an engine that just ejects the spark plug, but this is one. The fix that another mechanic gave me, so to say, was to use thread glue that's made for engines, that's made to support the high temperatures and the high vibration application of an engine, and just do what I was doing before, using a sort of a papery gasket to wrap around the thread and then just shoving in there, but then putting this glue, absolutely soaking it in the glue and putting it in the cylinder head. That appears to have fixed it for now, so now I can finally ride this engine and ride the hell out of it. But this is my first 4-stroke engine, and this is the first time I ever have to shift gears in a motorcycle. So I'll wait a little bit before I can ride it again to show you. And here we go. I have never done one of these vlogs before, so this is my first time. And somehow I stuck a Sony Steady Shot camera onto the helmet. And since it's a steady shot, theoretically it does have optical image stabilization, but as you can see it's not exactly stable and the camera keeps retracting the focus. But yeah, this is me just commenting on post on top of the video. And really, I love shifting gears with this thing. I mean, I'm learning how to change gears quicker and more smoothly, and it's really a challenge when you are moving away from a sort of a motorcycle that used a CVT and automatic transmission. So it's really quite it's a huge change of world all of a sudden, so to say. But I am getting along very well. It's a 4-gear sequential gearbox. And there's no manual clutch, so this is a semi-automatic engine. So to take off, it's an automatic clutch, and to change gears, all you have to do is just stop accelerating and then just shift. So if you get very quick and nimble with it, you can shift gears very quickly and very smoothly with absolutely no clunk at all. One thing that I have to do is that I have to adjust the clutch bite level. Right now it's just grabbing way too much, and when I engage first gear, sometimes there's a huge jerk and a clunk. So that's an indication that the clutch, since it's a semi-automatic transmission, that's a sign that the clutch is grabbing too soon. And really, this thing hits about 90 to 100 kilometers very easily. No effort. But again, I'm still learning. And that's pretty much it. One issue that I do have with this with the cylinder head is that the spark plug thread, I think I talked about this on the first part of this video because I'm recording this several hours later. and it's that if I don't glue the spark plug into place using an engine gasket, the engine will just eject the spark plug. So I bought some thread glue, and then I wrapped a piece of gasket around the thread of the spark plug and then just soaked it in glue and bodged everything back into the cylinder head. So one thing that I am going to do, probably on the 15th of June, that's when I get my salary, half of my salary, I will purchase a full kit with a new cylinder head, the gaskets. I'm going to use the same valves and everything. I'm going to send this engine into a full inspection to see if there is anything inherently wrong with it that I'm not aware of, because the guy that I bought it from said that he sent the engine to a revision, and the mechanic said that the engine was fine. But I cannot believe, I can't think of a mechanic that would inspect the engine and not see a huge amount of play on the spark plug, to the point that you could just hit the kickstart and the engine just ejects the spark plug. It wasn't doing that while he was riding it at home, showing it to me that it was in fact working fine. There were a couple of issues that were present when I first bought it Wednesday that have since gone away. For example, engaging second gear was extremely difficult, but after riding it a bunch of times for, I don't know, some 20 kilometers or so, engaging second gear is just as easy as engaging any other gear. Another problem is that the brakes had no sensitivity at all. It was either not braking or locking the wheel. So again, after riding some 20 kilometers with it, the brakes are normal. They just squeak a lot. Probably an indicative that I have no brake pads anymore, so I have to purchase new brake pads. But this thing, my friends, is the epitome of a monster, of a bodge. This is a huge butt job. You wouldn't believe it. I have since seen some other ad listings of similar things, like Mobi frames with a BIS engine, for about the same price or even less. But now that I know that this engine works and I am taking care of it, in fact I just drove it to the gas station and poured high-octane gasoline. But before, in fact, I got high-octane gasoline, and before I even put it into the tank, I drained the tank because I was running two-stroke mixture on the engine. I drained the tank, and then I separated the gasoline from the alcohol, from the ethanol that was mixed in with the gasoline. So to some extent right now, I am running this engine on pure gasoline and high-octane gasoline. And by high-octane, I mean it's the type of gasoline that they sell here in Brazil that has additives to clean the engine. It has like detergents that will remove crud from the valves and the cylinder top and the cylinder walls. It's going to remove that crud, that carbonization. It's going to dilute it, and it's going to get burned off with the combustion. And of course, I was freaking out when I saw oil dripping from the exhaust, but then I recalled that I was running two-stroke mixture on this engine, and that's why I was having oil dripping out of the exhaust pipe. So here we are, very close and personal with this engine. So you can see, I hope you can see some differences between this and the Mobi. The Monarch isn't here for reasons I explained in the first part of this video, at least in the first cut. So this is a 100cc engine made by Honda, used in the Honda BIS. And if you see these things dripping, this is not oil, this is the thread glue that I have applied to pretty much every single screw that I could see that I thought was important. So you can see around with the ones that I have put this glue. And yes, I am shooting this video at 24 FPS for the majority of the time. So here's the transmission, and yes, it is very dangerous to have the transmission all opened up like this. Together with the fact that since it's raining, all the water that the wheel throws into that the wheel throws forward is going to hit this whole part, which is conveniently where the electrics are, if you can call this electrics. All we have is a kill switch, so we can kill the spark. this is the Carb, and this is no child's play. Even the Carb reservoir is made out of metal. And this is in fact, a gasoline reservoir. Some people think that gasoline and ethanol carbs are all the same. They're not. Ethanol carbs are bathed specially in a different chemical, because ethanol will just create a sort of a white goo on the carb reservoir. Sorry about the bad angle. Will create a sort of a white gooey thing on the reservoir, because it's oxidating all the metals and things in there. It's really awful, and of course, as you can expect, it just clogs everything, and then the engine quits working because there's no gas pretty much flowing through it. It's a mess. So if you have a gasoline car, do yourself a favor, never put ethanol on it. Even if you adjust the jets to let more fluid go through, it's going to ruin the carb. You'll have to send your carb to be bathed in the special chemical, or you'll have to just get an ethanol carb. Anyway, so you can see immediately what makes a four-stroke a four-stroke. Quite literally, apart from the carter and the gearbox and the clutch assembly, the second biggest part of the engine is the cylinder head assembly. So here we have the drive chain with the cam and the valves. So intake valve right here, an exhaust valve right here, so the pipe goes down there. And this is a 100cc engine. Let me show you what a 150cc engine looks like. So you can't really see it properly, but this is also a Honda 150cc four-stroke engine. You see this tiny little part? Yeah, that's the piston travel. That's the stroke, and this entire goddamn thing is only the valve assembly. Would you believe it? And I don't stop there. I'm going to show you now a 650cc Kawasaki engine. Dude, look at the size of that thing. It's absolutely monstrous. Again, this part down here is the stroke, and this entire goddamn thing is only the valves. Right? So, yeah. That's why four strokes. And look at the size of the gearbox. The clutch is on the other side, and it's just as big as this. So this is a dirt bike. This is a Kawasaki KLX 650. And dude, is it massive. Look at it. 0.651 liters. More than half a liter on a single cylinder. Christ almighty. But back home to my first four-stroke. Yeah, so this tiny little part right here is the stroke, and this massive thing right here is the cylinder head with the whole valve assembly. And because of the difference in the power stroke between two strokes and four strokes, a four-stroke can fully utilize the explosion of the combustion, while a two-stroke, right after the explosion happens, it immediately opens the exhaust port to let the gases out. A four-stroke can fully utilize the combustion and will go back fully before it comes up to let the gases out. So there's a difference in there. And because we have to drive a chain and we have to drive a camshaft to open and close the valves, there is a fair bit amount of loss of energy right there. And so at the end of the day, if you convert a four-stroke into a two-stroke, this would be about a 60cc two-stroke engine, which is about as strong in theory as the moped of the mechanic when he borrowed me his while he was fixing my Monarch. So if I put a 75cc block in my Monarch, it would be actually, in theory, stronger than this engine, but it just wouldn't run as fast because we got a manual transmission and a manual gearbox. And that is one massive difference, if I do say myself. Being able to shift gears I love the feeling of having full control over the engine, and that's why I like having a manual transmission. Since then, I have installed a rear mud stopper because it was just throwing too much water up my back. The front one is kind of flapping in the breeze. It's not very well stuck in there, but these suspensions are from the Honda Biz, so they did manage to put that in there. And that's about all she wrote, really. I have since fixed some play and some parts like the foot supports. Sadly, I hit a dog when I was coming home in the afternoon. The dog thankfully only hit this part, which is quite sharp. And when I hit it so hard that even the chain fell off. Because as you can see, I'm gonna grab this cloth because I don't want to get my hands full of grease. The chain is quite loose, as you can see, but there's nothing we can do because of the suspension, and if I put the wheel back even further, when I sit on it, it's going to start to rub against the rear mud stopper because the whole... People in Brazil call this the balance, quite literally the scale, really, would be a good translation. They call this the scale. So, since this is not the original Moby scale, you can see that the wheel is a lot more behind, it's backed off more than it normally is, and so if I back off the wheel even more in order to stretch the chain, when I sit on it, the tire is going to start rubbing against the rear mud stopper, so it's not really an option at this point, but I can just bring the wheel back a little bit, and then it just adjusts the mud stopper so I can stretch up this chain. Probably another issue that is going to arise, it's because of the length of the rear brake rod. So this is something else that I have to look into if it's not going to stretch that, and it's always going to be braking. So it's all modifications, and in fact I will have to get myself a new cylinder head. So that's it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time. Let I and you take care.